Hello, travelers. Welcome to Life Between Flights, the podcast about traveling, travel advisors, small businesses, and life that gets in between. I am your host, Cecily North Rudo, certified travel advisor, librarian, mom, and wearer of many hats. I have been a travel advisor for more than 10 years and wanted to share my ideas, experiences, and more with new agents, experienced agents, and even small business owners and entrepreneurs. I wanted to start this podcast because I have a lot to share and I wanted a place to put all of my thoughts and ideas and wanted a place where I can talk to my friends and my colleagues and fellow advisors, fellow business owners about their businesses, their life, and how we handle it all. This is going to be a lot of rambling, a lot of run-on sentences, definitely some mom brain, but there's going to be some interviews, some trip reports, travel tips, and lots of business support, as well as ideas and more. We're just going to have to wait and see where this all takes us. So a little bit about my history, and I know I will talk about this in future episodes, but just kind of how I got to where I am today and why I decided to start a podcast. We're going to go back in time, shall we, to 2014, where I was at the time executive assistant to a director, and I was kind of miserable at my job. I thought it was really going to be a really, really great career move for me, and I had been in it for about 3 years at that point and was really kind of miserable. It was really stressful. I cried a lot. I didn't really like what I was doing. I thought I would be really good at it. And just kind of the timing and the situation that it kind of became was just really stressful, and it wasn't as enjoyable as it was in the first year or so. And my second husband and I, we had been living, like we had gotten married, we bought a house, we did all the things. And he was also he got the opportunity to apply for what we thought was going to be his dream job. And so he applied, he accepted it. It meant that we were going to have to move. So I knew that I was going to be leaving this executive assistant position that I was doing. And for the couple years prior, we had gotten married in 2012. We honeymooned at Walt Disney World and quickly fell in love with Disney. I had grown up in Southern California, so I had been to Disneyland a lot, but I had never been to Disney World until I was in my 30s. And it just quickly became kind of an obsession for us. He's a graphic designer, and so he kind of loved all of the little details. And I am an archivist in my other life, so anything history related was really just kind of the perfect pairing. And so I had been booking our travel to both Disney World and Disneyland. And I had also been booking travel for my director, who was traveling both nationally and internationally, doing speaking engagements. And then also our facilities team and design team, we were in the process of going to be building a couple new buildings. And so they were traveling around as a group, getting some architectural inspiration from different buildings. And so I had been planning all of this travel. And when my husband at the time accepted this new job, I knew that we were going to be moving. I knew that I was going to be leaving my position, and I was kind of miserable at the time. So I was really looking for something that would be kind of my passion and my real purpose in life. So I was doing some late night internet deep dives about, finding your purpose and finding your reason in life and what you're supposed to be doing. And I came across a website. I could not tell you what it is anymore, but the question was, if money were no object, what would you do every day? And my immediate response was drive. I have always loved road trips. I've always loved just getting in the car and just driving as far as I could. Even in high school, growing up in what was somewhat rural Colorado at the time, it is no longer that. But I could just get in my car and just drive out on a dirt road, see what there was to see, turn around and come home. And I have always loved that. I've always been obsessed with kind of the Southwest. And, I was born in Southern California. We moved to Colorado, grew up in Colorado. I went to school in Arizona. I had friends that lived in New Mexico. So I spent a lot of time in the Southwest, and just these wide expanses of just nothing was always just kind of, I don't know, just road trips were always fun to me. And so I kind of started sitting there and I was thinking about this, like driving. And I was like, well, what is it about the driving part that I like? And I'm like, it really is just seeing all of these places that you didn't know existed, but also it's the planning and it's the research and it's all of that stuff. And that is very much the librarian side of me, doing all of the research, putting all of the pieces together. And as I had been in this executive assistant role, putting these itineraries together, getting multiple people to the same destination, also coordinating Disney. Disney in itself is its own whole world of planning. And so I realized what I really wanted to do was become a travel agent. And so I went to a good friend of mine the next day and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about, I kind of told her the story about this question. And I was like, my response was drive. And she said, so you're going to be a truck driver? And I was like, well, no, that's not exactly where I was going with this thought in my head. And I was like, no, I think I want to become a travel agent. I don't remember what her response was after that, but I started to kind of talk to other people about it. And a manager that I was working with at the time, she was one of the first people that I told, because she knew that I was going to be leaving my job and knew that I was going to be moving on and that, we were moving and all of that stuff. And I told her, I was like, no, I'm thinking of becoming a travel agent. And she's like, that is the perfect thing for you to do. She's like, that makes perfect sense to me that you would want to do that. And so that kind of made me feel good about it. So at the library, this also tells you how long ago it was. I checked out a book from the library. Again, I could not tell you what that book was, but basically it was How to Become a Travel Agent, sort of like Travel Agents for Dummies, but that wasn't it. It wasn't that brand. But I checked out this book and I started reading about all the different things to think about and all the things that travel agents do. And so I just kind of did more and more research. And at the back of that book was a list of host agencies. And that was one of the things that they recommended, was that if you haven't worked in the travel industry and if you don't really have any experience or connections, you should start with a host agency, because they will provide you with all of those connections, the education, the training, the support, kind of all of the back end stuff. And in that list, I looked through several of them, but the one that really stuck out to me was Dugan's Travels. And I will say right now, they are not sponsoring this. I am still with Dugan's Travels. I love them so much. But they were the one that stuck out to me. And so I went to their website and they had a thing of schedule your call to learn more. And so I did that. And I think within the next week or so, I had a phone call with their new agent person at the time. And we just had a lovely conversation. And I kind of told them where I was, in my career and what I'd been doing and what had kind of led me to this decision. And she said, yeah, that's actually how a lot of people end up finding us, is that they've been doing it for a while and now they've decided they want to get paid for it. Or, they've been in the travel industry and they just want to do something different. Or they've been in a different career and now they just want to retire and help other people or book their own travel or whatever. But it felt nice that I wasn't alone in kind of this crazy idea of starting a travel agency that I had never had the thought of before in my 10 plus years of an actual career after college. So I was glad that there was a lot of support up front, and I am still with Dugan's Travels now. I will continue to talk about them more later on, but they have absolutely become a family to me. And, a big part of my career outside of travel has always been around professional development and always wanting to continually be educated. And that's something that we have to continue to do in any industry, which is one of the topics we'll talk about in the future, is just professional development and continuing ed. But, one of the things that I really, really wanted in a host agency was someone that would provide that education and those experiences. And I joined in October of 2014, signed my contract with Dugan's in October of 2014. Their annual conference was coming up in Anaheim, I believe the beginning of February 2015. And I signed up immediately. There was no question. I wanted to go because I wanted to learn, and also because I knew that the professional development side of it is huge. And it's a great way to connect with suppliers. It's a great way to meet other agents and get to know how they run their businesses. It's a great way to get to know your team, your administrative team. And now, going on 11 years later, seeing how much they have changed as a host agency, all for the good. And also knowing that I've gotten this amazing support from them over the years and just seen my business grow because of it. So, yeah, now we are 2026. And it's just crazy to think at the time when I joined in 2014, I had these delusions of grandeur of everybody's going to want me to be their travel agent. Like, I'm just going to take this and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to be so popular and so busy. I'm going to make all this money. And that did not happen. So that's a discussion for a future podcast. But what I really want this space to be is a place for small business owners, for new travel agents, for travel agents that have been around for a long time, for people that are debating about owning their business, or maybe like me, you own a business and you have a full-time job. Maybe you have multiple jobs, like more than two. Maybe you have, 2 full-time jobs and a side hustle and an Etsy store or whatever. Not talking from personal experience at all, but there's just so many different ways to go about doing the things you love, but also being able to provide for your family and just finding your purpose in life and your passion. And it might not be what you're doing 9 to 5. It might be what you're doing from 5 to 9 at night that really keeps you motivated. So the whole purpose of Life Between Flights is to have those conversations with those of us that there's I don't even know what to call her. She's an author and a podcaster and all of the things, Mary Forleo. And I listened to her. I read her book. And one of the things is that you're just multi-interested. It's not like you have to be in one career and you stick with that career forever. You can have more than one interest. And that is absolutely something that is me. I have more than one interest. I have many hobbies and other things. But, I am a librarian in one life. I am a travel advisor in one life, and then I have all of these other things. And like I said, I wear all of these other hats, but I know I'm not the only one. And I think that there's a place for all of us to come together, either as business owners or as travel advisors or all of that and more. The stay-at-home moms that are looking for some extra income, whatever that may be. It might not be travel. It could be something else. I certainly am not proposing that everyone becomes a travel advisor because it's not for everyone, as we will learn in future episodes. But really, it's whatever you need to do to, have your why and your purpose in life and to support your family but also be able to enjoy your life. And, having those multi-interests is great. I'm a huge proponent of it. Obviously, I live it every single day where I'm doing multiple things in a day and having to change my focus as well multiple times throughout the day. So really what this is for new agents. Welcome to the industry. For those agents that have been around for a long time, congratulations. You did it. And for all of those small business owners, whether you're just starting out and you're just not sure, where it's going to go. I know I have that question a lot, and just my own, I don't know what next year's going to look like. I don't know what 2026 is going to look like for my business. 2025 was great. 2024 was great. 2025 was even better. So I'm hoping 2026 is even better than that. That's my goal. But really, I want this to be a place for business owners and whatever that looks like, whatever level of business owning you have. And also for those that, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're managing your household, that is enough. I know that it is not something that I could do. And so I truly appreciate every mom that can be home with their kids and doing that every single day. And also, that is in itself the hardest job and a thankless job and a stressful job. And so it's also, if you've been that mom and now your kids are growing up, or maybe you're getting to the point of being an empty nester, figuring out what's next. And, what are you going to do? What are you going to do then? Because, I've got friends who are very much on the opposite side of the children's spectrum than me, that their kids are in college or they're past college and they're living their own life. And it's like, okay, what are you going to do now? So with that, everyone is welcome. And I hope that somebody gets, even just a little something out of these conversations. I think it'll be really helpful. I know talking to other colleagues and those that are owning their own businesses is always super helpful to me. And also hearing from other agents and seeing how they've grown their business or their challenges and all of those things are just what makes it, keeps me inspired to keep going. So with that, the one thing I will say, so if you are just starting out, let's say you're a brand new travel advisor, you have been in the industry less than 6 months. We'll start there. And let's see that you have seen all of the posts on social media. You've seen the people in the networking groups that are like, hey, come join me in my travel business. You can travel for free. Yeah, you're going to quickly learn that that is not how that works. I have been in the travel industry for 11 years now. I have been offered 2 free, and I'm putting up Cody fingers, free trips. Now, of course, my travel business has only become full-time in the past 2 years. I also have a full-time job. And so, sometimes those opportunities just don't come my way because I don't have the time, and they know that I'm not necessarily, I can't drop everything just to go on a fam trip. That is definitely different for every travel agent. I've met travel agents that have been in the industry for 6 months and they're on a fam trip. But for the majority of us, you don't typically get to travel for free. And like one of the ads I've seen online is like, here's the typical schedule for a travel advisor. And it's like, drop the kids off at school, work on a proposal for, I don't know what it is, an hour, talk to clients for half an hour, do a training for an hour in the afternoon, go pick up the kids from school. And that one just really bothers me because it says nothing about the hours. Like if you can do a proposal in an hour, I mean, for cruising, sure. Disney and Universal, probably. Maybe if it's a guided tour where it's all preset for you, you could probably do a proposal pretty quickly. But for me, 99% of my business is FIT, so it's doing every single individual little piece. My proposals definitely take more than an hour. And yes, absolutely take the trainings, all of that stuff. But they don't mention the calls at midnight saying, hey, our transfers aren't here to take us to the airport. Or, hey, our VRBO was canceled and it's sold out from under us, so we have nowhere to stay tomorrow. We've decided that we don't want to drive anymore and we need a driver for the rest of our trip. These are all things that have happened to me. Those are the things they don't talk about when you're staying up midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., because your clients are on the other side of the world and you're having to help them. That's the reality of being in the travel industry and what we do. And it's stressful in the moment, but when they have all of their plans and everything's great and they come home and they say they had a wonderful time, that's what makes it all worth it. So just to talk a little bit about what's happening in the travel industry, to be completely honest, I really don't keep my eye too much on what's happening. I mean, I will kind of look through some of the online magazines and things, emails that I get on the daily, but I don't go too much into it because, as we all know, the industry changes at the drop of a hat. Every single day seems to be something different. I will say we are going into wave season. So for those of you, I've heard for many years, it's like, oh, it's wave season. You're going to be so busy. And usually wave season for me is not as busy as the rest of the year. So if you're brand new and you're hearing about wave season and you're not getting the phone calls and you're not getting the emails or the requests, just know that you can work on a million other things, continue to do your trainings, continue to get your certifications, work on your marketing, have some one-on-ones with other people in either within your industry, like if you're talking to other people in your host agency, or maybe you're talking to other people in a networking group or something like that, or you're talking with friends who also own business, just having those productive meetings with people that can help you and support you in your business. All of that stuff is great. And I think that's also super important when you're not, when the phone is not ringing off the hook, which phones really don't ring off the hook anymore, but I mean, because they don't have hooks anymore. But just know that your business is not going to look like anybody else's business, and that you can't really compare where you are in your business to anybody else because yours is going to be so different. And that's a lesson that I've had to learn over the past 10 years. So keep that in mind. Your business is your own business and it's not going to look like anybody else's. And that's a good thing. So for future episodes, I will be talking with other small business owners, not necessarily travel related. There will be other travel advisors that I talk to that have very specific niches in the industry, but also talking to small business owners like bookkeepers, marketers, other librarians, all of the people out there that can help you in your business, because that is just as important as you owning your own business. You don't have to do it all alone. And then also we'll talk about work life. I mean, I'm definitely going to be talking about my work-life balance because it is absolutely insane right now with young kid at home and working 2 jobs and, all of the other things that I do. I serve on boards, obviously running my own business, all of those things. So there's just going to be a lot more talking about how to build your business, all of those different things to consider. It's not just marketing. It's not just social media. There's so much more to it than that. And then we'll talk about, wonderful trips. We'll talk about sort of inspirational things that you can provide to your clients, like specific places to go. I'm also going to do talking about excursions I've been on, things that I like. Also, in my other life, I say I'm a librarian because that makes it easier. I'm actually an archivist, which makes me like a local history librarian or special collections librarian. So I am very into history, especially architectural history. That's what my undergrad is in. And so I want to talk to not only places that are close to me that are kind of, I don't want to say touristy, but like places to visit that are in the tourism world, places that I would absolutely recommend people go visit if they're visiting my hometown. And I know for all of us, like we live in our towns and we never go to those places, right? It took me a really long time. Like I was definitely into my 20s or 30, definitely 20s for one of them. I think even into my 40s for the first time I went to another historic home here that's in my county that I have driven by, I don't know, thousands of times. So I want to give them a platform too as well, because there's so many places out there, so many museums that, they're in this tourism world and all the things that they have to offer that we never think about. But your clients might be interested, especially those interested in history or specific place, and they want to know it. They want to go see all the things about that place. That includes all of these little, the museums and the boardwalks and the national parks and even the smaller like state parks and things like that. There's a whole niche for that too. So yeah, I'm going to pull all of those in, be talking about just business and life and all of the things. So with that, I hope you all will continue to listen for future episodes and can follow us on social media. You can always email us at lifebetweenflightspod@gmail.com. And if you have any questions, topic ideas, you can always email us there. I'd love to hear what you think. And yeah, so with that, I usually say on my VIP group on Facebook, of course, you can always check me out at travelingnorthagency.com. That is my website for my business. And of course, I hope you all have safe travels and may your luggage follow you wherever you go. Today's episode was sponsored by me, Traveling North, produced by me and edited by Nomad Creations. Please check out the show notes for referral links, discount codes, and more resources that I've talked about in this episode. Check us out on social media, including Life Between Flights Pod on Facebook and Instagram. You can also find us on YouTube. And if you have any questions, thoughts, comments about the show, please email me at lifebetweenflightspod@gmail.com.